Alright everyone, and welcome to Going Over Bet Pro Wrestling, the only wrestling betting tips podcast on the planet. We have a busy week ahead of us. We have All Elite Wrestling's Grand Slam event. I'm going to be doing a podcast on Extreme Rules betting upsets with that pay-per-view coming up this weekend. And also, of course, Extreme Rules betting tips. So, 3 podcasts this week. I'm kind of glad I'm not covering the New Japan G1 in podcast form, because that makes it a little bit easier. Just a quick note on that. I am doing betting tips for each night of the G1. We went 2-0 on the first night. We had Zack Sabre Jr., Toru Yano, both of them, both big underdogs, both won. So that was a really nice play there. Yano was plus 160, Zack Sabre Jr. was plus 200, so it was a great way to start the tournament. So if you want to get my nightly betting tips for that, it's betwwe.com, and yeah, you get all the New Japan tips there. Every night I'll be covering. It's been a pretty good G1 so far. Block A was excellent. I thought I really enjoyed the show. Block B, I really didn't enjoy too much. I saw a lot of people going nuts with those last 3 matches. I just thought they were actually pretty dull, really. Like, it felt like Okada and that were just, out there trying to have an epic match and just didn't really hit that, but it is what it is. Block A though, oh man, can't I wait for, is it Wednesday or Thursday? I think it's Thursday. Ishii versus Ibushi. Oh my gosh, that's going to be a bang and a half. Today though, AEW Grand Slam. It's covered over 2 nights, Dynamite and Rampage. And I'm going to go through the betting odds and let you know any betting tips that I have, any bets you should make. So let's start right from the start. And just for any new listeners, if I say someone's minus 1,000, which I'm going in a second, that means you have to bet $1,000 to win $100. So they're the heavy favourite. While if I say someone's plus 500, that means you have to bet $100 to win $500. That means an underdog, and a very big underdog in that regard. So speaking of, MJF is minus 1,000 versus Brian Pillman Jr. plus 500. It's always interesting when it's like, when you see someone at plus 500 or something like that, you kind of want to find justification to bet them. The only way I could see justification to bet Brian Pillman Jr. is if AEW really sees something in him, and if Wardlow has his feud with, potential split with MJF, so maybe something happens there. I really kind see it. I think Pillman Jr. was more just a big push there, with being in his hometown and all that, and I really don't think, I'm enjoying what he's doing on AEW, but I don't think he's really ready to go to the next level yet, so no bet there for me, but at plus 500 odds, it's not a bad bet, all things considered. Next one is Malachi Black minus 230 versus Cody plus 160. I'm all over Cody in this one. Like, max confidence level, basically. It's a great price for him. I can't believe it. I mean, look, first of all, we've seen what's happened with Cody in the past with matches like this. Brody Lee be a very good example of that. It's almost a carbon copy of that. But the other thing is, just by wrestling rules, Cody should win. The babyface should come back and win this one. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. Isn't he Cody playing Hunter or Hurst Helmsley or anything like that? Just by the way wrestling works, Cody is the babyface. He's making his return. He should come back. He should win. All signs point to Cody on this one for me. Nice, easy bet. I love Malachi Black. Part of me hopes I'm wrong. I'd love to see him get the win again, really propel his career in AEW, but no, I think Cody's a great price. Darby Allin and Sting are minus 250 versus FDR plus 175. That's one where, if it wasn't for the Darby Allin loss to CM Punk, I'd be all over the FTR there, plus 175. But I think this is AEW. They're going to try and rehab Allin and Sting, Darby Allin here, and give Allin and Sting the win. So, no bet for me, but again, I don't hate it. If FDR were plus 250, I'd be all over them, but plus 175, no thanks. Britt Baker is minus 500 versus Ruby Soho, plus 300. That song gets stuck in my bloody head every single AEW show, man. Anyway, I can't see Britt losing here. It really seems like she's set up for Thunder Rosa. I love Ruby. I would pop like mad if she won, but can't see it. That's one where even at plus 300, not worth a bet. Bryan Danielson, minus 278 versus Kenny Omega, plus 190. I would advise a small bet on Kenny Omega. Yes, it's a non-title match, and that seems like, well, Bryan Danielson must win because it's a non-title match, and that's what WWE do every single Monday Night Raw following a pay-per-view. But, you know, if AEW is setting up Kenny Omega for Hangman Page, I don't think you have Kenny lose here, you know? Like, I wouldn't. If anything, that makes Kenny over stronger if he beats Bryan Danielson here. So, yeah, small bet on Kenny. The Super Clique, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks are minus 295 versus Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express at plus 200. That's one probably won't bet myself. You know, you don't really want Jungle Boy to win the losing side here. But, yeah, I think the Elite take that one. So, no bet for me, but I do see some justification for Christian and Jurassic getting the win. CM Punk is minus 2,000 versus Powerhouse Hobbs at plus 700. You know, if this was later on, maybe if Hobbs was pushed more and protected more, it would be easy to justify a bet on Hobbs at that price. Really feels like they're setting Punk up for Ricky Starks though, where I do think he might eat that first loss. So no bet for me on this one. You know, Hobbs I think is just kind of a trend, you know, to get Punk to Starks eventually. Moxley and Eddie Kingston are minus 345 versus Suzuki and Lance Archer plus 225. Going to be a belter of a match. Can't wait for it. You can't have Eddie Kingston losing here. You know, I don't think that's on the cards. So should be a great match. No bet for me. The favourites likely win. Lucha Brothers versus, and Santana and Ortiz are minus 560s versus the HFO at plus 325. Sorry if you're squealing in the background. It's my kittens fighting because I'm talking about wrestling and they heard the word Suzuki and got all hyped up, man. They're just like me. So I can't see the HFO taking it in here. Faces win, Lucha Brothers, Santana Ortiz, you know, unless they're, like they might have plans for booking where you could justify HFO getting the win and so on, but no, I don't see it. It's not a bet I feel good making. Anna Jay minus 345 versus Penelope Ford plus 225. I'm really surprised at that line. I thought it'd be closer to a pick 'em. Happy to do a small bet on Penelope Ford with everything going on with Dark Order right now. Anna Jay losing seems fine to me, you know. So yeah, that's Inner Circle minus 215. That is Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Men of the Year at plus 150. You know, Men of the Year probably should get the win. They've been getting the, you know, like the rub and all that with Dan Lambert and everything. He's amazing, by the way. I love him. But it's just, you know, it's Chris Jericho. Like, I can't see him losing here. I really hope that Inner Circle do lose. I think it would be very good for Men of the Year. But yeah, I'm not taking that one. So it's a close one, but plus 150, no. Maybe if it's plus 200, plus 250, I would do a small bet. But I think Inner Circle win. Jericho's theme music plays. Everyone's happy at the biggest venue, you know, they've played in a while, you know. So anyway, that's it for me. So Cody is the main one for me, the biggest bet I'll be making on the card, followed by small plays on Kenny Omega, and what was the other one again? It was Penelope Ford. So 3 bets out of the card, with a few potential bets. Like I said, Brian Pillman Jr., I can kind of see it. Yeah, it's really probably the only other one I would actually consider making, and even that I would make it knowing I'm going to lose it, but sometimes you want to do a speculative bets. If you want to bet this, unfortunately Americans, there's no option for you right now. Bet Online is the only place that does wrestling odds, and they don't have anything for Grand Slam yet. I've got an email out to them trying to get them to add it. But if you go to betwrestlingpodcast.com, that's betwrestlingpodcast.com, unique domain name, I know, we are geniuses. You will see a link to Mr. Green on there, and that's where you can bet AEW Grand Slam and New Japan Pro Wrestling, all the G1, all that. So if you're non-American, boom, go for it. If you're American, sorry. Yeah, like, maybe Bet Online will add it, but I don't think so. Move out of the country is all I'll say. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll be back tomorrow with Extreme Rules betting upsets. And until then, I'm going to leave you with a very annoying song, hopefully, to get it stuck in your head, just like it's been stuck on mine all day. Enjoy.